Kimber 2K11 in the large caliber. Let's look at it closely. Okay guys and gals, thanks for joining me in the hideout here today. Before we get started, please click subscribe, click the little ringy dingy so you get your notification, and click like, because I think you're going to like what we're talking about today. Even if I don't present it as well as I should or could, I think you're going to like what we're talking about. So most of you know there's been a lot of videos out there about the Kimber 2K11. I even did one myself on the 2K11 9mm, the Eclipse. You see it's kind of the stainless steel cut, and you know, it's poured in and all that cool stuff. But what you haven't seen is my favorite caliber, the 45 ACP in a Kimber. Now I'm gonna go back and repeat something I said earlier. You guys who may have not seen the other video, please go back and watch it, or take my word for it, or whatever you would like to do. But Kimber has this reputation of not being the most reliable, dependable 1911s out of the box. And I've got some comments before, and I knew I was going to get some comments where people want to downgrade them and shoot them. But I don't think that's fair. I think what the problem is the users do not know enough about 1911 handguns to just go out and break them in and shoot them. Everybody's accustomed to the joystick plastic guns, and the fastest way to beat a Glock in hand-to-hand combat is with a propane torch. If you want to know the truth, just melt that son of a bitch and you're done. Don't happen with a 1911. 1911 is, you don't assemble them like you do an AR-15. They're not freaking Lego kits that you put together. They have to be hand-fitted in order for them to run. Now, hand-fitted is one way, or just wear over time and wear them till they break and they're just polished together. But today we're going to talk about the 45 ACP. Now, I like the Eclipse 9mm. I come with two magazines. It's a 120 round magazine and a 17 round magazine. And one of the things I did like about it is because the slide rack's so easy, the trigger broke at under 3 pounds. The magazine hides up in the bottom of it. Really nice 1911 handgun. Nothing wrong with it, except it's not in my favorite caliber, 45 ACP. So when I stumbled up on one in the gun store the other day, in 45 ACP, of course, I just had to have it, because now we've got what I think to be, man, it's up there with the top notch. Now, Kimber, I watched them make a statement online, and they said this is their new generation of handguns, and that they've addressed some issues that I don't believe they had anyway. It's just people like to get on the freaking bandwagon and run with it. So Kimber, and many times Kimber would have a failure to feed. And all it was the gun was tight, it wasn't broken in, the slide would not get all the way closed. All you had to do was bump it and shoot it. Bump it and shoot it. Bump it, it would eject, it would start to feed, but the slide wouldn't close all the way, still slightly out of battery. What do you do? Bump it and shoot it. Bump it and shoot it. Is it frustrating? Hell yeah, it's frustrating. How you fix it? Bump it and shoot it. Bump it and shoot it. Bump it and shoot it. Or take your little finger and polish it and solve the problem without bumping and shooting, bumping and shooting. So I think Kimber realized that, and they get bad mouth. But one thing we have to remember, and I mentioned this before too, Kimber makes more 1911s than any other manufacturer. Why? Because they're creative. And if you look at these handguns with these fancy cuts, they look good, they look fancy, everything's fine and dandy, and they call one the Eclipse. It's marketing, like Colt and some of the other. This is a Royal. Why is it the Royal? I don't think it's Royal Blue. I don't know what to call it, but it is 45 ACP, and we're going to look at it. So let's just start and look at the barrel itself. Now this is you can see it's kind of got like a bull barrel out here on the end. I don't know if you want to call that bronze or brass colored. It does kind of draw your attention to it. And back here on the side, you can see how it's about contoured. Just like, you know, they do some of the rifles and everything. Very nice. It's flat across the top. Now, it is not textured, so they're not doing that for glare. I don't know if they just did that on purpose or not on purpose, but it is set up with a plate if you wanted to put a plate on it and run a red dot. I'm not going to. You can if you want to. It's your pistol, your money, your dime. Unlike the Eclipse, the checkering on this thing is nice and it's similar, but I'm going to try to hold this up and you'll see on the Eclipse, here we go. It's kind of ported. I don't know if you can see the checkering on the Eclipse here is cut all the way through, so it acts as a port. It is not on the 45 ACP. You would, and now that's maybe just this particular model. You could go look at the website and see, because you can get Target models and other stuff for a professional model. But I would think, because of the recall purposes, you would want this one to be ported and not necessarily the 9mm. I mean, most of us guys are grown men. If you can't shoot a 9mm without it being ported and keep it on target, maybe you need to go back to shooting 22s. I don't know, don't want to upset you, but a ported 9mm, I mean, you know, is it extra money spent? I don't know. 45 ACP though, more recoil. We're running twice the bullet downrange, 115 versus a 230 gram bullet. No, we're not running as fast, but you don't need to throw a cannonball or a bowling ball quite as fast. So the 45 should be nice. It does have a rail on it, just as the 9mm did. Now, one model of this, I think the cover comes all the way out to the end. I don't think, for me, it's what I'm looking for. I would prefer to not even have the rail, because I don't shoot a red dot and I don't use a light. You've heard me say this before, and I watched it on TV the other day. Now, the police officers, of course, are going to tell me different, but if you go watch John Wick, how many bad guys had a light? Every one of them. How many bad guys got killed? Every one of them. How many good guys had a light? None of them. How many good guys got killed? None of them. So a light, personal preference, but you know, that's just another holster. That's some more electronics you got to worry about. It's a bunch of mess. But what we're trying to talk about is this handgun. Do I need the rail? No, but it is there for you fellas who want one. Now let's look at the trigger guard just a little bit. It's not square, it's beveled at an angle. Look at the Eclipse. It's squared. A slightly difference on the trigger guard. Not much. The trigger, however, is the same shape, other than the color, this one being black and this one being maybe a burnt orange, rust, something brown, little bit different, bronze colored maybe to kind of go with the barrel. I don't know. It does have both an ambidextrous side on. Now, I think it's interesting on this ambidextrous, because I did a video on that too. The left-handed side is larger than the right-handed side. So we do have a larger safety out here than we do over here. That helps me in my mind, because I don't like the ambidextrous. This takes a little bit of my concern away. The spring is really, really tight. Of course, it's 45 ACP. We're going to try to control that recoil without a port on it. Pistol grip. Checkering is different than the model here, the Eclipse. Barrel length is the size. Now the pistol grip is, you know, it's checkered nicely on front, back, sides. I have no trouble with it at all. It's not overly aggressive, but it is more aggressive than the Eclipse model is. This is more of a typical checker, maybe a 13 per inch or whatever. Magazine release, like its predecessor, the Eclipse out here, it sticks out high, but it's not unusually large. So it should be easy to get to. I don't know if you can see it there. And then it is relatively easy to operate. I might take one coil off, but you know, new gun, never shot. probably not. I'll probably leave it just like it is. Come with 3 magazines, all of them 13 round magazines. And if you'll get a look, so this is the 20 round magazine, 9mm, they're about the same size. So you're talking more rounds than 9mm, but you have to do the math. 20 rounds of 115 grain is what versus 13 rounds of 230. Which one's actually throwing more lead? I don't know. Now, here's what I don't like. Look at the magazine stick out the bottom. Now, can I get a magazine that is shorter and fit that without it sticking out the bottom like that? I'm going to make the assumption yes. Could be wrong. Not my favorite toy, but then again, this is not my carry gun. This is a range gun. This is a fun gun, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. Now, the trigger on the 9mm pulls really, really light, so I'm going to try it on the 45. I don't think, let's just see. It's pretty stinking light, but let's just see it, because I think if I remember that 9mm was stupid light. Let's see here, clear. Pull, 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 pull. Oh, that's 4 pounds, so that's a lot. Let's try it again, because it just doesn't feel that pound. Let's try it again. You're pointing 3.1. I'm gonna do the 9mm again, because the 9mm, if I remember right, it was quite a bit different. 1.7. So that 45 trigger is double what the 9mm is, and you know, 4 is okay, but it's not this level. So if I'm comparing the guns right now, I think that if this was a 45, this would be hands down above this. But because this is a 9mm, I'm going to set that aside. A lot of you guys are going to disagree. I'm going to set that aside and still say I give bonus points because it's a 45 ACP. I'm going to take away a few points because of the trigger. I'm going to take away a few points because of the capacity. I'm going to take away a few points because I do have a magazine that hangs out the bottom and just looks freaking nasty. Now, I think what we'll do is windier and shit outside, but we are going to shoot them. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to load up probably all 3 magazines with 230 grain round ball. This is American Eagle. I'll probably go out and shoot 3 rounds of that. The wind is crap. Nothing I can do about it. It's been windy for a week, but we're going to go out and shoot some magazines. Then we'll come back inside the hideout here and wrap it up and give you the afterthoughts. Let's go. Okay, we're back inside out of the hurricane winds out there, but I tell you what, man, the 45 ACP, I loved it. The trigger, 4 pounds, anything more, I'm not gonna like. I'm gonna go ahead and test it again just to be sure, because it was, you know, it was unfired. We just ran about 40 rounds through it. Let's see what it does now. That's still not many. 3.1, we're right back where we started. That trigger's not gotten any lighter yet. That's not to say that it won't. Now, there's 1 or 2 more things I want to point out before we wrap it up. The Eclipse 9mm. The diameter of the pistol grip is the same as the 45. So as far as your hand size, guys and gals, it's irrelevant. The diameter of the pistol grip is not going to be any different. Now, the Eclipse model does have a little bit bigger bevel, but there is no difference. If you remember me showing you the two magazines, they're going to be the same size. Where we're getting that difference is, like I said, you got this one sticking out the bottom a little bit. That's going to be it. This is not a carry gun. This is a range pistol fun gun, whatever it is. I was really impressed with the Eclipse model because I watched the video where Kimber said, hey, we got it fixed. The Eclipse was every bit better than I was expecting. The 45, it did not quite reach this level, only because the trigger is a little bit lighter. Now you guys can see it out there. I don't know if you can hear it because of wind and crap, but I was dinging the shit out of the freaking targets out there. I'm not missing anything, so I got 45 ACP going down there that's just going to put you on your ass. The one other thing I will say that I do like about the weapons, and I need to do a video on this, this is my Wilder Tactical Belt. This is a standard 1911 5-inch holster from Safariland, and this is a double stack 1911. And if you'll look, it fits perfectly. I mean, this is a double stack, so I can do the same thing with the 9mm, and both of these handguns fit this holster just fine. So we're not buying a different holster for the double stack 45 or the double stack 9. Everything is really condensed down to about the same size, and that's what I was talking about. You know, I prefer the 45. You may like the 9mm. When it comes to looks, ported, not ported, is that a difference in the price? Probably. You know, you're talking around $2 grand and some change for both of them, but I think you can get both of them for under $2, around $18.50, somewhere in there if you're looking. They've been out a few weeks now, so you could potentially get a used one. Still going to be hard to find because they are relatively new. But anyway, I wanted to share with you the 45 ACP because that's just my baby. You know, you guys know me, that's my baby. But I didn't feel it was accurate just to put that out there and go all 45 ACP and not talk about the 9mm that we did just a couple weeks ago. Both guns are improvements over Kimber's history. As they said, I believe they did do a good job improving both guns. I don't think either one of them's a waste of money. Take your choice, pick one, be happy. But as always, shoot safe and shoot straight.